Thank the distinguished chair for pointing out that this is a simple question for Senate Republicans. Do your job, consistent with your obligations and responsibilities under Article 2, Section 2 of the United States Constitution. The Senate Republicans' failure to act or consider any nominee put forth by the President of the United States of America is an abdication of responsibility, a dereliction of duty, and it would be a stunning act of legislative malpractice that undermines the rule of law, the presidency, the Supreme Court, the United States Constitution, as well as the American people. I'm thankful now to be joined by someone who is a powerful voice for the voiceless here in the House of Representatives, who has ably served her constituents in Northern California and consistently fought for a fair, equitable society. Let me now yield to my good friend, the distinguished gentlelady from California, Representative Barbara Lee.
Thank you. Let me thank the gentleman from New York for yielding, but also for your tremendous leadership. You and Congresswoman Joyce Beatty from Ohio really have sounded the alarm, beat the drum, and really brought to the American people the important issues that we're dealing with each and every day. So I just have to thank you for your diligence and for staying the course. Every week you're here really representing not only this Congress but the country very, very well. So thank you. I rise today with all of my colleagues in the Congressional Black Caucus, with our whip, Mr. Hoyer, and others, to urge our Republican colleagues in the Senate to, of course, do your job. Also, let me just remind us that, once again, the President is trying to meet his constitutional obligation once again. He's trying to do what he is supposed to do, and that's nominate Justice Scalia's replacement to our nation's highest court. And Senate Republicans have a constitutional responsibility to give the President's nominee a speedy and fair hearing, followed up with a simple up or down vote. Sadly, these Senate Republicans have said no to their constitutional responsibility. The Supreme Court has the huge responsibility of deciding cases that impact every aspect of American life, from our elections and college admissions to scientific patents and a woman's right to make her own health care decisions. It's imperative that the Supreme Court be allowed to function in its full capacity with 9 justices. Former Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor, who was appointed by a conservative president, President Ronald Reagan, she did not mince words in her condemnation of Republicans playing politics with the court. She said, "We need somebody in there to do the job and just get on with it." Former Justice O'Connor, I could not agree more. Despite the calls for action and the constitutional mandate, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell of Kentucky has said that there will be no hearings, no votes, not even a meeting with President Obama to discuss the late Justice Scalia's replacement. That's just wrong. His actions prompted the New York Times to editorialize that he, and I quote, seems to have lost touch with reality and the Constitution. Speaking of Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. Mr. Speaker, I'd like unanimous consent to insert a couple of New York Times articles into the record.
Without objection.
Thank you. The title of these articles, one is Black Sea Bias and Delay on Scalia's Successor. The other one is New York Times article, Senate Republicans Lose Their Minds on a Supreme Court Seat. Likewise, Judiciary Committee Chair Charles Grassley of Iowa led a letter to Majority Leader signed by all of the Republican committee members confirming their resolve to not have hearings or a vote on the nominee. This is downright ludicrous. Republicans cannot and should not use the Supreme Court to push their radical political agenda. The Constitution is clear, Mr. Speaker. Article 2, Section 2, he shall have the power by and with the advice and consent of the Senate shall appoint ambassadors, other public ministers, counsels, and judges of the Supreme Court. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say except in an election year or except when the president is a Democrat or when Republicans have spent the last 7 years actively working to subvert every policy that a president elected by nearly 70 million Americans? Constitution doesn't say that. This is simply unacceptable, and the American people deserve better. For more than a century, every single Supreme Court nominee has received a vote on the floor of the United States Senate. Just like all the presidents before him, President Obama should nominate a Supreme Court justice, and the Senate should determine if he or she are fit to serve on this nation's highest court. Instead, Republicans are holding the Supreme Court and the American people hostage. Their action, in the words of the New York Times, is simply, quote, and I quote, panic masquerading as strength. The Senate has a responsibility to at least consider the president's Supreme Court nominee, and by refusing to do so, they are failing their constituents and their nation. So, Mr. Speaker, it's really past time for Majority Leader McConnell and the rest of the Republican leadership to do their jobs and work to get a new Supreme Court justice. The Supreme Court is way too important to be used as a political bargaining chip. Enough is enough. So once again, I join my colleagues, Congressman Jeffries, Congresswoman Beatty, members of the Congressional Black Caucus, and the American people in saying, do your job. With that, I yield back, and once again, thank you for giving me the opportunity to join with you tonight.